Today we're taking a look at these NCAAF matches, which are happening on Friday, November 26, 2021, and giving you match breakdowns, betting tips and predictions in general on these games. Welcome back to High Stakes, let's get straight into it. Also, don't forget to subscribe to get notified as soon as we release these sport prediction videos, and if you would like more betting tips and predictions, then check out our Patreon in the link down below. Our new Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money. 5 plans are available for each and every one of you. You can get 30 extra betting picks all the way up to 270 extra betting picks per month. Stop wasting hours of your time searching for bad betting advice that ends up costing you a lot of money. Join the High Stakes Patreon now and get the best betting picks and advice. South Florida vs UCF. It has been quite the long season for South Florida, but hey, anything is possible, right? Well, maybe not anything. South Florida has yet to win on the road this season, and last week's performance against Tulane was pretty much the worst performance in franchise history. South Florida gave Tulane their first conference win of the season as they failed to get over 300 total yards of offense and turned the ball over twice in a 45-14 blowout defeat. Coming into this game, the Bulls ranked 9th in the conference in both total and scoring offense. On a short week, it's going to be quite the challenge to muster up some points against a high-flying Knights team. Our first betting advice is to pick UCF Knights minus 18.5. The Knights are 76th in the FBS in passing offense, as they average 220 yards per game through the air. UCF is 41st in the nation in rushing offense with 190.1 yards per contest. The Knights are 27th of the 130 teams in the FBS to take the field this season in scoring offense, as they put up 33.5 points per game. UCF is 68th in scoring defense as they give up 28.3 points a contest. Dylan Gabriel is 70 of 102 passing for 814 yards with 9 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. He adds 125 yards plus 2 scores on the ground. Mikey Keene is 145 of 224 for 1,471 yards, with 15 touchdowns and 6 scores on the year. Johnny Richardson leads the ground game with 93 carries for 599 yards and 3 scores. Isaiah Boser, 124 carries, 548 yards, 7 TD, and Mark Anthony Richards, 34 carries, 236 yards, 5 TD, are next in line in the running back pecking order. Ryan O'Keefe leads the team with 72 receptions for 682 yards and 6 scores on the season. Brandon Johnson, 37 grabs, 558 yards, 10 TD, and Jalen Robinson, 16 receptions, 306 yards, 2 TD, are solid targets in the aerial assault. Daniel Labarski is 49 of 50 on extra points and 4 of 7 on field goal attempts, with a long of 40 this season. Our second betting advice is to pick over 62. UNLV vs Air Force. UNLV scored first for the 5th time this season, but stalled at the SDSU 3-yard line, resulting in a short Daniel Gutierrez field goal. After forcing a punt by the visitors, quarterback Cameron Friel's pass attempt was tipped and returned for a touchdown to get SDSU on the board. Friel would not make it through this game as he was later knocked out of the game with an injury on a sack. The Rebels may have found something in backup QB Justin Rogers. He came off the bench to complete his first 6 pass attempts, including a 43-yard touchdown to Zyle Griffin, giving the Rebels the lead again briefly. Rogers would go on to become just the second UNLV quarterback to throw for at least 300 yards in a game since 2018. The former TCU transfer completed 15 of 21 attempts for 305 yards and 2 scores. Our first betting advice is to pick Air Force minus 17.5. Air Force's offense might be far from the most balanced in the country, but remains one of the better ones, at least in the Mountain West. They're averaging just shy of 30 points per game on the backs of an offense that averages over 400 yards per game. They rank first in rushing yards per game and rushing attempts per game, but are last in most passing categories. Our second betting advice is to pick under 48.5. Quick reminder, BetUS is a platform that offers betting on all major sport and horse racing leagues. It has slots, table games, blackjack, and a variety of other casino games. All of the major US leagues are available for betting, including the NFL, NBA, NHL, MLB, and PGA. In addition, BetUS allows wagers on esports, Olympic events, soccer, cricket, boxing, cycling, and many more competitions. Join BetUS now using our link down below and get 125% cashback bonus on your first deposit on the sportsbook after you open an account and deposit using our link and use our promo code HIGHSTAKES. Coastal Carolina vs South Alabama. McCall, 2,382 yards 22 TD 2 int, has passed for at least 291 yards in the last 4 games, where he has 12 TD and only 1 pick. He has 2 big play targets in WR Javen Hailai, 947 yards 6 TD, and T. Isaiah Likely, 795 yards 10 TD, who are each averaging over 16 yards per catch. Hailai had 101 receiving yards in the last game with a TD, and Likely has 162 receiving yards and 2 TD in the last 2 games. Shamari Jones, 777 yards 12 TD, is averaging 6.1 yards per carry and had 92 yards in the last game, and Reese White, 516 yards 7 TD, is averaging 7.3 yards per carry but is out for this game with an injury. CC will be facing an South Alabama defense that ranks a respectable 28th in the nation against the pass and 46th against the run. Our first betting advice is to pick South Alabama Jaguars plus 15. Following the loss, the Jaguars remain just one elusive win away from bowl game eligibility. After returning to the practice field in a limited capacity last week, South Alabama is expected to have starting quarterback Jake Bentley on Saturday. The senior signal caller has completed 70.2% of his passes for 2,122 yards with 15 touchdowns and 5 interceptions this season. Tolbert has been Bentley's top target for the majority of the season. The 6'3" junior has caught 72 passes for 1,283 yards and 7 touchdowns already this season, but still needs one more score to match the total that he posted a year ago. Our second betting advice is to pick under 56. Cincinnati vs East Carolina. The offense has played well, but the defense has led the way, allowing only 16 points per game. Defensive linemen Curtis Brooks and Malik Vann have been applying pressure in the trenches with 8 sacks combined, while linebacker Joel DeBlanco has been patrolling the middle of the field with 89 tackles and 2 sacks, but the defense has been led by their secondary. Cornerback Kobe Bryant has 3 interceptions and 11 passes defended, while Larquin Bush and Brian Cook have combined for 4 interceptions and 12 passes defended, while limiting passing lanes for opposing quarterbacks. Our first betting advice is to pick East Carolina plus 14. East Carolina has been a strong offensive team, ranked number 26 in yards per game, 446.9. Quarterback Holton Ahlers has completed 63.0% of his passes for 2,898 yards and 17 touchdowns. His top target has been wide receiver Tyler Snead, who has caught 61 passes for 764 yards and 4 scores. Wide receiver C.J. Johnson has added 35 receptions for 520 yards and 1 touchdown. Running back Keaton Mitchell leads a strong rushing attack with 157 carries for 1,077 yards and 9 touchdowns. He will be facing a Cincinnati defense that ranks 7th in total defense, allowing 305.2 yards per game. Our second betting advice is to pick over 57.5.